An unexpected visitor. Later that evening, the family gathers by the dim glow of the Christmas tree. Emily and Jake carefully write their wishes on pieces of paper. Outside, a soft snow begins to fall. Emily, Santa will find us, won't he, Daddy? Mark, kneeling beside her. Santa always finds the ones who believe. Don't you worry, sweetheart. A sudden knock echoes through the small house. The family exchanges curious glances. Mark rises and opens the door to reveal an elderly man bundled in a shabby coat, his hands clutching a sack. Elderly man, good evening. My name's Mr. Hargrove. My car broke down nearby, and I was hoping you could spare a little warmth until the storm passes. Anna, smiling warmly. Of course. Come in, please. Jake, grab another chair from the kitchen. The children watch curiously as Mr. Hargrove settles near the tree. He sets his sack aside and rubs his hands together by the small fireplace. Stories by the fire. Over cups of tea, Mr. Hargrove begins to tell stories about his youth. Tales of adventures, hardships, and unexpected kindness from strangers. The family listens intently. Mr. Hargrove, it's funny how the smallest kindness can change a life. Once, I was just a boy selling newspapers and a kind lady bought my entire stack. That simple act gave me enough to buy a proper meal and keep going. Jake, did you ever find her again? Mr. Hargrove, smiling wistfully. No, but her kindness stayed with me. That's the thing about giving. It echoes in ways you can't imagine. A Christmas surprise the next morning. The children wake to find the small living room transformed. The tree sparkles with additional ornaments, and a pile of neatly wrapped gifts sits beneath it. Mark and Anna are stunned as they notice Mr. Hargrove gone, his sack missing from the corner. Emily, excitedly holding a gift. Look, Santa really did come. Anna, whispering to Mark, do you think? Mark, nodding, smiling. I don't know how, but it feels like a miracle. On the table, they find a note written in elegant handwriting. Your kindness has reminded me of the true spirit of this season. May your hearts always be full and your family blessed. Merry Christmas, the power of giving. Inspired by the mysterious stranger, the family decides to give back to their community. They gather spare clothes, bake cookies, and bring holiday cheer to their neighbors. Slowly but surely, their efforts bring joy to those around them. In giving, they found more than they ever dreamed of receiving. The spirit of Christmas wasn't in the gifts or the decorations, but in the love they shared and the hope they spread. As the camera pans out, the family stands in their front yard, smiling and waving to neighbors. Snow continues to fall, blanketing the town in a peaceful glow. Jake, maybe we can be someone's Santa too. Anna, hugging him. Yes, sweetheart, we already are. A spark of empathy. The living room of the mansion, adorned with a giant, glittering Christmas tree, surrounded by piles of immaculately wrapped presents. The TV screen still displays the news report about families in need. Sophie sits on the plush rug, staring at the screen. A close-up of Sophie's face, her thoughtful expression contrasting with the indulgent surroundings. Amid the glitter and gold, a seed of compassion took root. Sophie, turning to her parents. Mom, Dad, why don't we help those families? Linda, distracted, scrolling on her phone. Help them? How? Darling, we've already donated to charity this year. Charles, chuckling. Besides, what could we possibly do? The party's in 2 days. We don't have time for anything extra. Sophie, persisting. But they don't even have presents or food. We have so much. Can't we share? It was a simple question, yet it lingered like a quiet echo in a grand hall. Later that night, Sophie sneaks into the garage. She rummages through the towering stacks of. She selects toys, puzzles, and art supplies, placing them into a red wagon. Sophie, whispering to herself, if they won't help, I'll do it myself. Sophie's secret mission. A chilly December evening. Sophie, bundled in a coat and scarf, pulls the wagon through quiet, snow-dusted streets. Determined and brave, Sophie ventured into a world far from her own. Sophie finds a local community shelter, its warm lights spilling onto the snowy sidewalk. Inside, families are gathered, chatting and sharing simple meals. Shelter volunteer, kneeling to Sophie's level. Hello there, sweetheart. What brings you out on a cold night? Sophie, smiling shyly. I brought these for the kids here. I thought they might like some presents. The volunteer and families beam with gratitude as Sophie's wagon is unloaded. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest ripples. A family's awakening. Back at the mansion, Linda and Charles discover Sophie's note on the kitchen counter. Dear Mom and Dad, I gave some of my presents to kids who need them more than me. I hope you're not mad. Love, Sophie. Linda, placing a hand on her heart, visibly moved. Charles, she's only 8, and she's already kinder than both of us. Charles, nodding, contemplative. She's right. Maybe it's time we rethink what Christmas really means. They glance at the extravagant tree and gifts, the emptiness of their abundance suddenly glaring. A new tradition, the shelter, the following day. Sophie and her parents arrive together, this time with Linda and Charles carrying boxes of food and supplies. Charles, to the shelter coordinator. We'd like to help however we can. My wife and I run a catering business. We could provide meals for everyone here. Linda, smiling at Sophie. And Sophie had the wonderful idea to donate toys. We'd love to make it a yearly tradition. Christmas isn't about what you have, but what you give. And in giving, this family found the joy they'd been missing all along. The family serves food to smiling children, their laughter blending with a warm hum of gratitude filling the shelter. A simple ornament hangs on a small tree, Sophie's Christmas wish. Sophie's growing interest. Outside the community center, Sophie tugs at her nanny's hand, her eyes fixed on the lively scene inside. Sophie, curious, Miss Clara, why are all those people so happy? Clara, smiling. They're helping others, Sophie. It feels good to give. In that moment, Sophie's young heart began to stir with a desire to understand kindness. Sophie hesitates, then boldly steps into the community center, her curiosity outweighing her shyness. Sophie's first step. Inside the community center, Sophie watches as Marie helps a group of children sort toys. She hesitates before approaching. Sophie, timidly, Excuse me, can I help too? Marie warmed. Of course, sweetheart. Every pair of hands makes a difference. What's your name? Sophie. I'm Sophie. Marie. Well, Sophie, why don't you help us match these toys with their boxes? We're making sure every child gets something special this year. Sophie joins in, her face lighting up as she carefully places toys in gift bags. Clara watches from the doorway, her heart swelling with pride. A new idea. Later in the day, Sophie and Clara walk home. Sophie carries a small bag of donated goods for her neighbors. Sophie, Miss Clara, can we do something like that at home? Maybe we could make cookies and give them to people. Clara, nodding. That's a wonderful idea, Sophie. Why don't we start tomorrow? A simple question had sparked a ripple of kindness that would extend far beyond the community center. Sophie and Clara's kitchen the next day. They bake cookies while humming Christmas carols. Neighbors peek in curiously, and Sophie invites them to join. Soon, the house is filled with laughter, baking smells, and new connections. Neighbor, I didn't know you bake, Sophie. These look amazing. Sophie proudly. We're sharing them with everyone, just like the people at the center. One act of kindness led to another, weaving a web of compassion throughout the town. A community united. A town square lit with fairy lights. Sophie, Clara, and the neighbors arrive with baskets of cookies, scarves, and other small gifts. Marie spotting Sophie. Sophie, you came back, and you brought friends. Sophie beaming. We wanted to help more. Sophie hands a scarf to an elderly man who smiles warmly. Around her, neighbors exchange hugs and gifts, creating a scene of unity and joy. From a bustling community center to every corner of town, the spirit of giving grew stronger. And at the heart of it all was a little girl who learned that even small hands can make a big difference. Sophie, Clara, and Marie sharing a group hug as snow begins to fall gently, blanketing the town in a peaceful glow.